Howdy folks, this is Feanor, and here we are together again on the internets. Okay, so day 2 of my 1000 Days to Financial Freedom project. So let's start by reviewing what I have accomplished since last video. The first thing I did was to evaluate some different software products that I'm going to need for the project. Basically, I needed 3 things. I needed something to do video editing, I needed some screencasting software, and I needed some audio editing software. I've done some freelance voiceover work in the past, so I already had the audio software solution basically in place, although I haven't really looked into it in a while, so I did re-research it again to make sure that I was making the right choice for my needs. I'd like to talk a little bit about paid software versus free software to start. Basically, open source software, or OSS software, is free and contributed by a network of volunteers that all work on the project, and typically the code base is also free to view for the general public. Different programmers can choose to fork it if they want, which means you basically take a copy of the existing code base and then develop from there in your own direction if you have different ideas where the main project is going, things like that. And one trap that new entrepreneurs will frequently fall into is assuming that something is better just because it is expensive. And that really isn't necessarily the case. For the audio software, for example, we'll start there because I already know something about it or knew something about it. With the audio software, I've always used Audacity, which is one of, if not the single most popular audio editing suite on the market. And it's completely free. So I've used this before. It can export to various proprietary file formats. So if you do have specific requirements for a company you're working for or something like that, it can likely create what you need along with its own proprietary format. So I looked into the audio editing software, and I figured if it was good enough for paid voiceover work, it was probably going to be good enough for newbie video making and screencasting and streaming and stuff like that. And sure enough, it was. I found that it has all the features I've ever wanted to use, and actually more features than I've ever wanted to use. And I didn't find it difficult to learn. There's a lot of great video tutorials on the web about it if you're completely confused. So lots of information about it out there, and free. The other 2 software packages I selected were OpenShot, which is video editing software, and I did learn a little bit about that today as well, and hopefully I will be able to successfully insert some of my new skills into this video in post-production before I go ahead and upload it to YouTube. And for screencasting, I went with the Open Broadcaster Studio. I'm going to put links to all 3 programs, Audacity, OpenShot, and Open Broadcaster Studio, in the description of this video if you want to go ahead and download those for yourself. Next was social profiles. I had thought initially they were going to be one of the first things I do because I know they don't really take very long to set up, but because I'm really trying to completely start from scratch and not really leverage any of the contacts or connections I have when starting this project, that it was a little bit early to go ahead and do those. I figure before I kind of have the nucleus of a community going, there's really no one for me to communicate with anyway, so why do I need to have Twitter if I don't have anyone to tweet to yet? Stuff like that. So social profiles have been moved a little bit to the back burner for now, although I probably will get them up in the next couple weeks or so, depending on how quickly the channel and the community grows. Just a reminder, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. That helps me, and it will definitely, encourage me to create more specific content around what is actually resonating with you, my audience. What else? I did spend some time learning about screencasting and video editing also. Screencasting was really surprisingly simple to pick up. It's essentially just software that pulls your desktop into a video. And I was playing one of the games I'll be talking about a little later in this video this morning, and decided to go ahead and make a gameplay and commentary video using my new screencasting software. So that is also uploaded already in this channel under a gaming playlist, and that game is a collectible card game called Gods Unchained, if you want to take a look at that. The video editing was a little bit more difficult for me. I do not have any experience with graphic design, anything like that, so I truly was starting from scratch. Thankfully, I was able to find a couple excellent tutorial videos. There's one in particular that really stood out that only is 10 or 15 minutes long, and it gives a great overview for someone like me of how the video software program works, some of the things I can do with it, and it's on video, so I can literally witness the operations the guy who made the video is performing. So I can, see what he's clicking on, see how he lines up the various video tracks and how they interact with each other and all that sort of stuff. So again, hopefully in post-production you will see a couple of the first tricks I have learned with video editing. Moving on, the next thing I wanted to talk about today was P2E Gaming. P2E is an acronym that stands for Play to Earn. And for me, this is a pretty exciting development. The concept is fairly new. I want to say the first entries into the genre are no more than a year or two old, if that. Probably a little less. I'm not very sure who the first one would have been, but it's new, quite new. And basically the concept behind it is most of these games use NFTs. I'll probably be doing a video this week on what NFTs are specifically and a little educational overview of those. And they typically use blockchain technology just like cryptocurrency. So the thought behind these games is that basically you can be rewarded for playing them or for doing well in them with assets that have actual real-world value. So there's two play to earn games that I've already been involved with for a little bit. One is Pegaxy, which is a horse racing game essentially, except it has mechanical Pegasus, animals like kind of like Transformers or something, as NFTs, and you race these horses against one another, and it pays you out in a crypto token that can then be withdrawn and sold for fiat currency, that is, dollars, euros, stuff like that, or spent on other in-game assets. And the second game I'm playing is the one I made a video of. That's called Gods Unchained. Excuse me. And that is a collectible card game. If you've ever heard of Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or games like that, it's very similar. And in that one, the play-to-earn concept basically is you earn the cards for free by playing the game, and then by spending currency that you earn by playing within the game, you can mint these cards to the blockchain, at which they turn into NFTs that then have real-world value. There's an official marketplace that you can buy and sell the cards on, as well as a couple third-party sites that do the same. And I will go ahead and link all of that stuff in the description to the video as well. Next thing to talk about is how much time I've spent, and here is where I want to get into the video editing techniques. I'm hoping that I can get a little, well, I suppose on this side it'd be better, a little pop-up here that will be explaining how much time I've spent on various aspects of the project, as well as my financial investment and returns. So thus far in this project, I think I spent about an hour researching the different software packages and maybe an hour practicing them. Most of that time, the lion's share of it was definitely spent on learning video editing, because I pretty much was already up to speed with Audacity, and I found OBS, Open Broadcaster Studio, very intuitive and quick to pick up. So it really didn't take me more than 5 minutes to configure that one and get it running. So that's 2 hours so far spent on software research and tutorials. And I put about 20 hours into researching PegXE before I decided to go ahead and make an investment. They do have a white paper up that describes their strategy. They do have a roadmap up. So there was quite a bit of information about it already out there. But the investment to get into it was fairly substantial. So before I put down a significant amount of money, I wanted to make sure that, it wasn't a scam, or, I wasn't looking at losing all my investment based on, some kind of crazy flash in the pan sort of operation. So I did look into PegXE for about 20 hours, and I have spent about 30 hours, I'd say, playing PegXE over the past month. I am going to cheat a little bit with this project because I did get involved with PegXE before I decided I was going to do this project. So it's jumping the gun just a little bit to include PegXE in here, but I thought it would make the content more exciting because I do have a fairly significant amount invested in it for the average person, and the returns on it have also been fairly significant for the average person. So technically cheating a little bit by inserting that in there, but I hope you won't mind. Now on to money spent. The only thing I've needed to purchase so far was my down payment to invest in PegXE. Everything else I already had. I had my nice microphone and boom here from when I was doing voiceover work, and already had much of the other software I intend to use from previous work, and the 3 new software packages I installed today were all open source and free. So that's good, and no money spent on that. As far as my investment into PegXE, I started with a $3,200 investment, and I made that about 1 to 2 weeks ago. And for that, I got 2 of the PegXE NFTs. So I'll explain how PegXE works in a later video. But suffice to say that when I obtained the 2 horses, you're actually able to breed them with one another to create more PegXE to further increase your earnings. You earn currency in that game by racing your horses. You have a certain limited number of races per day. Anytime your horse, or Pega rather, takes a win, place, or show, that's a first, second, or third in a race, you get rewarded with the currency. So I got into PegXE because another person I play an online game with was a very early adopter of that game, and he had told me about it before PegXE actually went live, but I wasn't convinced and certainly wasn't ready to invest in it at that point. But after he did quite well, he kind of shared how he was doing on it with me, and also gave me the opportunity to take over the jockeying of a couple of the Pegas he had already bred. So a person who gets into that game as a jockey doesn't have to pay anything up front, and they're simply responsible for making sure that the horse uses all of its energy on a daily basis to maximize the earnings each horse gets. And then that's typically dealt with a smart contract that directly splits the profit between the owner of the Pega and the jockey of the Pega. So I did that for him for about 2 weeks, and then at the end of the 2 weeks, I took a look at all of the currency I had earned by doing the races, and sure enough, it was $500 or $600. And on an hour, it takes me about an hour a day, I would say, to race both of the horses I have rented from him, or jockeying for him rather. And I figured, that's not a bad return. So at that point was when I kind of became serious about the project and looked into it more, and ultimately ended up purchasing a breeding pair. So that was a $3,200 investment again. Since my purchase of it just a week or two ago, the value of the Pegas has gone up substantially, and the range as of this morning, when I last looked at the prices on the marketplace for them, is about 2,000 to 3,000 USD per Pega. And due to my own breeding, I bought one male and one female, so I can breed my own now. I have 4 now, so I've doubled the size of my Pega stable. And I believe that my total on-paper assets from PegXE are now between $12,000 and $13,000 USD, which certainly isn't bad for a week or two of work that is playing a game, where the whole time investment is really just clicking a few buttons every minute or two for a while. I don't even run them all in one block. I typically will run a race whenever I get up from my desk, or whenever I get off a phone call or something like that. I'll click over, run a race or two really quick, and then go back to what I was doing. So very simple and very good return on it so far. I do want to put in a disclaimer also that I am not licensed to provide financial advice of any kind. And there is always a risk in any investment, whether that investment is in stocks, bonds, currency or options trading, NFTs. So please be very careful and don't invest more than you are comfortable losing if you end up making a poor decision. So my results probably are not typical, and they probably also won't last. I don't really expect to be making, 5,000 to 10,000 USD a week from PegXE. If it does, that may become my full-time job sooner rather than later, let's say. So please be careful, and always make sure that you do all of your research and don't take anyone's anecdotal evidence as proof that it's easy to do or that you will have the same results. That's good advice for anything in life, actually. So what else? I think that is about it for now. One additional financial related thing that I've done for the project is I also invested about $1,000 USD in buying VIS. That's the acronym for the VIS crypto token. VIS is the utility token used in the PegXE game. Why did I do this? Well, PegXE, the team behind PegXE, announced that they are going to be running a Valentine's Day event that starts on or around the 14th. I don't think they've disclosed the actual date the event starts just yet. And basically, their intent in this event is to remove a lot of the VIS token from circulation through a process called burning. Burning means the tokens are actually gone and completely unrecoverable by everyone. It's not that the company gets to then collect and sit on these tokens. They're actually removed from the liquidity pool of the token completely. So I put this $1,000 into VIS tokens when I heard about the event, because one of the first things the team disclosed about the event is that it was their intent to burn a substantial portion of the entire liquidity pool of the token in the event. Now, that's their hope. It may not turn out that way. That would rely on them. The event itself is essentially going to offer a limited item that will provide a couple benefits in the PegXE game, and has a hard limit on how many of these special items can be purchased. I believe the limit is something like 2,000, and the cheapest one of them costs 10K VIS tokens, and the most expensive costs 50,000 VIS tokens. Let me just look up the price really quick. VIS is currently at a little over 22.5 cents. which means the cheapest limited edition item is going to be about a $2,250 value, and the most expensive one will be over $10,000 USD. It'll be about $11,250, and that is with the current price of VIS. Now, the reason I made this investment was because I figured, okay, basic supply and demand. When supply of something is restricted, price goes up. Now, this VIS token has uses in PegXE. You essentially need to burn several thousand of it in order to perform your own breeding. So all of the people in there who already have their own stables, like myself, and are breeding Pegasus, need to burn VIS on a regular basis in order to increase their amount of Pegas, which increases their daily amount earned. So because there is a constant and ever-growing need for VIS tokens in the infrastructure of the game itself, and the game team is doubly looking to burn a large part of the liquidity pool, my anticipation is that VIS price will continue to creep up until the event, and we may see a spike at or directly after the event, because there's going to be, if the team has their way, about 42.5 million VIS tokens removed from circulation, which when they made the announcement, Corey, the lead developer for PegXE, said that was something like 90% of the liquidity. So a few insights I got from that announcement is that the team does not really expect all of these items to sell, and that the price of VIS would continue to go up, probably even faster than it has over the past month, because people are going to be buying it now to ensure that they have enough VIS to continue with their breeding after dropping large amounts on acquiring these exclusive items and things like that. So we can track, I'll probably do it about once a week, how that investment is doing and if I put any more money into it. I think that is about it for today's video, other than talking about what I intend to do tomorrow. So tomorrow, I think I'm going to make the entire video all about crypto mining. I'm going to talk about my experiences in it, both a number of years ago as well as more recently. I originally got into crypto mining back in 2009 or 2010 or something like that. It really was not long after Bitcoin was initially created, and I was a very early adopter of it. So I will talk about how you might want to consider doing that. However, I am going to keep the crypto mining separate from this particular project because I'm already fully invested in creating my crypto mining enterprise, and I don't really think that it's fair to make a video about that because it did require substantial capital investment. I know $3,200 on imaginary mechanical horse NFTs also may be more than substantial investment for more people, but it's more reasonable. Oh, that also reminds me of one other thing I wanted to say about PegXE. It is possible to get started without having to invest anything. The way that you can do that is by becoming a jockey for someone, which will give you a profit share of running their horse for them. So basically, you can be someone's jockey, and as long as you're reliable and run all of the daily races, you will accumulate value in the form of the VIS tokens, which once you've gotten enough, you can convert to US dollar coin or some other asset, and then purchase your own Pega using money that you got for free just for playing the game. So I did make that investment into PegXE, but the average person doesn't need to spend a dime to do the exact same thing. It'll just take them a little longer. I think with current VIS prices, it would probably take you 2 to 3 months of daily jockeying of someone's horse to earn enough to get your own. Now, if you're able to jockey more horses for someone, that would speed up the process, or if you are willing to invest some of your own money, that would also speed up the process. I will leave a link to the Discord server of my PegXE guild That is where me and all of the other Pega owners recruit our jockeys from. So if you're interested in becoming a jockey, go ahead and join our Discord community and say hi to us there. You can talk to me directly, and we can get you a Pega to run your races with. Basically, whenever we have more, we need more jockeys, and we breed frequently. So there's probably 10 to 20 new Pegas created per week in my guild would be a guess. So that's 10 to 20 new people that we need to run these races for us, unless we want to spend all day running our own races, and I don't think any of the owners do. I do have a business partner I'm involved with PegXE in, and between he and I, we're taking care of our relatively modest stable of just 4 Pegas. But even we will need jockeys soon. So click that Discord link and join our community if you're interested in becoming a jockey for us and earning some money just for playing a game. I think that's it. So from here, I am going to call the video, go to post-production, hopefully do a few fancy editing tricks and get some stuff popping up, and hope to see y'all tomorrow. So thank you again for watching my video. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Take care.